Well, hello, friends. Mark Holmes here. And as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Um, we may have a really ugly situation that's beginning to brew. Um, the funny thing, it's not funny, the sad thing is what always seems to happen with the Dallas Cowboys when it comes to negotiations for some players is it just gets ugly. You know, with Des Bryant, we had heard all kinds of things. We had stories about, they brought up stuff about his mall incident or that the police had been called to his house 6 times. And when you really dug deep and found out it was really just kind of bullshit. And then there was the report about, there might be a team out there worse than Ray Rice and all this, that, and the other. And they literally sullied the name of Des Bryant. We saw with DeMarcus Lawrence that, they try to make him out to be greedy. Well, DeMarcus Lawrence, we thought we had a deal for $18 million. And here we are 2 years down the road, quite frankly, with the deal he signed, even though at the time it was a record-breaking deal. As you start looking at it, knowing that TJ Watt's probably going to get about 27, you see Khalil Max and some of these other guys that are going to get paid, they're going to get paid a lot more than DeMarcus Lawrence is. You're going to look back and say that that was a good deal in the same way you look back at Tyron Smith and say, you know what? That $98 million contract was actually a good contract for Tyron Smith. And we saw even when the new money kicks in next year, we may look back and say Zeke Elliott's contract isn't quite as bad as what we thought. And I still believe that Zeke Elliott may have had some after effects of COVID that may have been part of the reason why he fumbled and wasn't quite in the same shape. Some people, it affects people differently. You can look at Cam Newton and say Cam Newton, before he had missed time for COVID versus when he came back, he seemed like he was a totally different player. Regardless of that, negotiations with the Dallas Cowboys always get ugly. And Dak has always tried to take the higher road. And the Cowboys have for the most part as well. So here's where I'm beginning to think that this is going to get ugly as we get in here. The Cowboys, it doesn't seem like they mind paying the money as long as they seem like they're the ones in control. That you always hear this bluster about we're not going to set the market, for running backs. And yet they did. It ended up being that you ended up sabotaging Zeke Elliott's career that year because he ended up having to hold out. But that was the only way he was going to get it. Dak, on the other hand, as opposed to what you've seen around the NFL, Russell Wilson, when they franchise tag him, he went to him point blank and said, if you do not get me a long-term deal by the 15th of April, I will never sign another deal with you. Period. They got it done on the 15th. Zeke, I ain't showing up for training camp. D-Law, not getting my shoulder worked on. Dak, on the other hand, you did the franchise tag. Okay, I'll show up. I'll do what you need me to do. So I think the Cowboys have been playing that whole thing, and they're still trying to make everybody think that, we made Dak Prescott bear down to what we wanted. We wanted to make sure he understands we got to save money. And, the reason that we got to save money is because we screw up with other free agents. That doesn't matter. You got to be the one to make up for the mistakes that we made of paying the wrong guys. Because I saw some guys going to their second Super Bowl that we determined weren't good enough to be here, and we can do better, that continue to be playing in back-to-back Super Bowls. I see another guy who was a dominant defensive lineman for $8 million, but we get, Emerson Griffin and Gerald McCoy and Don Terry Poe. We picked the wrong guys and wrong positions, but yet it has to be Dak Prescott that does it. So this morning, this came out. I'm going to play it over here over my shoulder. Hopefully the YouTube police won't get in. You can go online and see it yourself. But
a team built on tradition. That tradition laced tenacity in our fibers. That means ignore the critics. Embrace the love. But most importantly, in order to win, we have to work.
Didn't mean
Let's
to
go. A team built on tradition.
Yeah. So
That
Cowboys do a hype video. I'll get back to you, Miss Jackie. Cowboys do a hype video, and Dak Prescott's not part of it. Here's where it's going to start getting interesting, because I feel like they're trying to say, oh, it was, he's not under contract, so he's technically not one of our guys and so on. But to me, that was a message that was being sent to Dak Prescott that, we can make it without you. You see all these teams out here scrambling. Hell, we hear there's a mystery team in the market for Carson Wentz. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys are the mystery team that's trying to make a move for Carson Wentz, for all we know. As crazy as it gets. But I think at some point in life, you have to say enough is enough. I've had it with these mother-humping snakes out there. If you go to Dak Prescott's Instagram, 2.1 million followers. What's interesting is if you go to who he's following, he just started following the Washington football team. That is the only team that Dak Prescott is following. Of all 31 other teams out there, the Washington football team is the only other team he is following. Point blank. Just started. Top of the list. I'm imagining if the Cowboys don't want Dak, and we've seen and heard, hell, my cousin, I'll take Dak in a heartbeat. I'll give you whatever you want for Dak. If Dak don't get signed, it could be the end of Mr. Nice Guy, and he will come back and haunt Dallas Cowboys' dreams. I can guarantee you that one. This makes no sense to me whatsoever why contracts always have to get so ugly with the Dallas Cowboys. But it looks like we're headed for that. So if you are a football fan and you want to have football to talk about, well, Jerry Jones is going to make sure we got plenty to talk about. The Washington football team. Don't believe me? Check it out yourself. I'm Mark Holmes, and we'll be talking about this tonight. My man, Michael Anthony Fitness, my mic sounds nice, will be here with me, and we're going to have a full show. I'll see you then.